You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Dave, let me do the audience a favor. For the listeners here, we're starting our podcast with everyday practices, and Vicki McManus is joining us from afar. Vicki, why don't you tell us where you're calling in from?
I am calling in from Albuquerque, New Mexico today, and Pete and I are celebrating our 8th anniversary doing a balloon ride. So we're here at the Balloon Festival.
Yeah, and your Facebook pictures are awesome. You actually, I thought I'd point out, we were going to talk about where you're calling in remotely from, and all of a sudden you sound a lot better now that you've reached a good connection. So that might not make sense to the listeners, but you were calling in informally earlier, and yeah, your connection sounds a lot better. And we want to welcome onto the show Dave Diehl from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Dave, why don't you say hi and tell us a little bit about your practice?
Well, hello, I'm Dave Diehl. I've been in practice for about 19 years in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Bought the practice from a father and son, and kind of took off. The father stayed on as an associate for a little while, for about 2 years, and then have been on my own ever since. We've been in a pretty good location. We moved the practice early on. We were in a pretty good location, a lot of growth in our area. So we've had a pretty solid practice over the years. But then about 5 years ago, I joined PDA. I was looking for some, I kind of feel like I hit a ceiling with the best that I could do. I was not able to go any further. So I sought out some help, found PDA, and joined them about 5 years ago, and I've been enjoying every minute ever since.
Now, Dave, why don't you also tell us about it seems like it might have been about a year and a half ago, but time flies. You'll have to remind me when that was, that you did the over-the-shoulder course with Bruce Baird, and how that's accelerated your practice as well.
So the biggest thing for me is I'm a very visual learner, and a lot of the things we talk about when we go to the PDA meetings and the different, Patty Suey's my coach, and she's always encouraging me to do different things. But when you clinically, obviously, a lot of it has to do with the clinical success is where a lot of the success comes from. But for me to go and see Bruce in action and watching him go through a regular day for him, or actually 2 days, it was a 2-day period. That was a huge eye opener for me, and I learned an awful lot about being there. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what he's doing, how he does things, and it kind of opened up my mind to the possibilities. And I also got to see some of my shortcomings with some of the things that I let myself hold myself back with. And so if that makes any sense, and so I walked away from there with I was very excited, very, very full of energy and ready to go back in and start implementing those things. And a year and a half later, we've come a long way. I mean, it's been significant. So
mentorship is a big deal. Dave, tell us in the past, PDA came along for you as a pivotal keystone for mentoring, but historically, how have you done with other mentors or people in your life as you've been progressing through your dental career?
I think that's a great question. I've had many mentors in my life, and different people, and some are not at all even in dentistry. Others are, but yeah, any time in life, I feel like God puts people in your life that they're there for a reason. And I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. And one of my early mentors was my father-in-law. I was actually extremely close with him and considered him a very good friend as well as a father-in-law. And he was extremely successful, but he was the most down-to-earth and one of the most, he was the most relational person I've ever met in my life. He could zone in on a person's, whatever their struggles were in life, whatever motivated them in life. And he could really get to the core at somebody's, life experience very, very quickly. And he could figure out how to motivate a person and get them out of, if they were a person that was maybe stuck in life financially, or if they were, struggling with the relationship with their wife or something, he was amazingly skilled at reaching people at kind of the heart of their problems, and
Very cool.
and helping them out of it.
I
And
know
so,
he's made a lot of impact on you, because when I visited your house, whether it was, I don't think it was this past summer, it was the summer before, last year, and you mentioned him before. So he did have a big impact in your life.
yeah, he really did. Yeah, he really did. And
That's cool.
yeah, so I miss him. He passed away about 13 years ago now, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's very, and he was a guy that had a very big impact on a lot of people. Anybody he had a fairly large company. We run into people that work for him all the time, and everybody thought of him that way. So just that type of mentor, that kind of guy in my life, seeing him as obviously he was very successful, but he was also a person that cared deeply about others, and wanted to see the best in everybody around him. And I think that's a really rare trait. So that was huge. Yeah. Outside of that, I've got a good friend that's he works in the dental industry. We've been friends for probably 7 or 8 years, and he's been a mentor for me in a lot of different ways. He's been a real good resource for technology. He's a sales guy, and so there are times I've gone to him and I'm like, okay, is this product really worth buying? Is this something I should do or not? And it's been nice having him there, a good sound, voice of reason. And then, within dentistry, yeah, there's different guys here in the area that I know that have helped inspire me in different ways as being a dentist in our area. But then, quite frankly, once you get to the point you get to meet Bruce and you kind of see what he's doing, yeah, he's inspired me an awful lot.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, one of the things that we're bringing into coaching this next year, and we just started forming a system around it, was I think most leaders, most practice owners have heard all the management gurus say, you got to have a vision, you got to have your core values, your mission statement. Once you get that down pat, then you communicate it to your team. And I don't know about you, but it's just like, okay, those are nice words, or what do I do?
I'm so glad.
It feels like nebulous, and I feel like an idiot in the room going, okay, everybody else is writing something down. I'm going to write something too. Have you ever felt that way?
You just nailed it right on the head. Yes.
Oh, but so we're taking a different approach. I'm going to bounce it off of you right here live, to the nation, see what you think. But we're going down this path of defining your standard of integrity and defining your life intentions. Mm-hmm. And the work piece is, think about the mentors, those who have influenced you, and that's going to give you your clues to what you call integrity, because integrity means being whole and complete and true to yourself, or true and to those things, right? So just that little piece that you shared, I heard that things, I'm just going to feed this back to you, so things that are important to you is being successful and doing in a way that shows that you care about people. That came from your first mentor. Is like, man, he was just really successful and he always cared about people. He's really down to earth. I surrounded myself with very smart people, my tech guys, my equipment guys. I don't have to go learn all that. So your piece of integrity isn't, I must learn every nerdy thing there is to know. It's like, I must surround myself with people that know this stuff. And then also being an inspiration and surrounding yourself with inspiring people. And I'll tell you what, every time I talk to Patty Suey, I hear those core values about you coming out. It's like, oh my God, Dave Diehl is so successful. His team is fired up. They're inspired. They truly, truly care about people. They're really high tech. They're always on the cutting edge. Isn't that neat how that translates to your practice?
Yes. Yeah, it's it's funny when you start out the whole vision thing and the mission statement and all that stuff. And I guess there's reason and purpose for that stuff, but I always get kind of squirmy on it too, because at the core of it, a lot of times when I was asked those questions, I still, at that stage in life, I still really didn't know who Dave Diehl was. What was Dave Diehl as a dentist? I knew I had certain things that I appreciated and I strived for, but what did that really look like? And how would that relate to a vision or a mission statement? I always thought the mission statement was harder, vision was a little bit easier. But at the core of it all, when you get to know who you are and what your goal, then all of a sudden that stuff becomes almost like, well, yeah, of course that's my mission statement. Of course that's my vision.
I think that comes with time and with coaching, whether that's like a formal process or not. It's like having somebody, in your life to help mirror that back.
Yeah.
Because you don't see yourself.
Yeah. It's funny to me about that whole thing is too, everybody comes with these very complicated statements and these very in-depth things, and they're always beautiful and well written. But at the core of it all, it's like, well, who are you? Okay, I'm a guy. I want to be the best. You can simplify all that stuff into, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to treat people as well as I hope to be treated. And those things, there's not fluff in that. That's real. And if you're at a place where you can say those kind of things and then follow through with it with your actions, then I think everything else falls into place. Everything else falls into place.
I think that's true. It's kind of like to get to that place, though, you have to walk up Maslow's hierarchy, right?
Yes.
So step one, when you're a young doctor, it's all physical. Like, I got a building, I've got some stuff, and now I need some more stuff. I'm going to have some people, and you got to construct the physical foundation, and then you move up into safety. Oh yeah, there's like OSHA and the rules and harassment, and that gets a little bit into the culture of it, right? And then you move up the hierarchy a little bit more, and you get into the relational pieces, and oh yeah, now that we're working and we're making money, we are indeed going to stay in business. We can think about treating each other a little more nicer. And then you get into the esteem piece. It's like, ooh, I work for DuPont family. I work for Veranda, and you want to be that point of pride. And then you get into that higher self-actualization realm, which, is a personal piece. Yeah, the altruism, the philanthropy, things like that. So it's really cool. A lot of PDA doctors are in that same flow where you are. It's like, okay, I went through the physical stuff. I got my act together. Now, who do I want to be? And I think
Dave,
you just
that's a great point to bring up or a good segue. Tell us about the Dominican.
Oh, okay. So Dominican Republic is a place that I go to serve. We go in a team of dentists and sometimes physicians. Most of the times it's just dental groups, but sometimes it's a combination. And we serve a people group that live outside of a city called Santiago, Dominican Republic. It's an area called Cienfuegos. It's kind of a long story, but there was a fire there years ago, and the fires were out of control, burnt many homes, and the people were displaced, and the only place that they could go to live was in a city trash dump. And so there was a community that developed of homeless people and families that live in this trash dump. And they are kind of the forgotten people. And they are people that are born without birth certificates. They don't have health care. They don't have police safety. They don't, if they have running water, they're extremely lucky. But they have nothing. And they literally live off the waste of the people of the city of Santiago. And so a dear friend of mine, Tom Hinton, created an organization called Barnabas Task. And they go down there and they serve those people that live in this trash dump, and they're just outside of it as well. And so we've been going down there for about 5 years now. I think this is our 5th year. And so the team of dentists and physicians can be anywhere from maybe 20 on a small side to maybe 50 on a big side. And we go down there and we take care of people and love on them and help them out the best way that we can, and help using the God gifts, talents, and treasures that we have to help them out. And it's been awesome. It's been an amazing thing to be able to do. And what's even really, it's really cool to do that. But then when you get to go back down year after year and you see the same feelings and patients that you did last year, the year before, and they remember you remember them, and you're building relationships with people that you would have never thought you would meet, and you go back and you see them and give them hugs. It's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So love it.
Well, I was just saying, we have been so blessed, as a PDA team, that you brought this to us. And I've just been personally touched by that. This is like a big part of my life purpose now. And, when are we going? We're going back in January. Yeah. And that one I think is filled up with providers. But then what are our dates in October? Is it like October 12th through 19th, 2019?
That kind of does ring a bell. I don't, those dates I've not memorized, but I know it's in October.
Okay. So, can you tell, so we've got plenty of time, and I know you're recruiting now for dentists and hygienists and assistants. Can you tell us a little bit of like what the costs are, how people kind of go about fundraising and getting ready for this? I really want to get some information out about it.
First things right up front, the costs are typically right around $1,200 for the trip, and that includes all of your hotel stay, all the meals you'll eat, pretty much everything you did or you need when you're there. You could literally go there with $30 and you would come home with 15 if you wanted to. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
And
that's only if you spent $5 at Baskin and Robbins.
Yes, exactly. And of course, you bought a trinket or two at one of the shops. But
right.
but people are often, they find other things to spend money on. But if you brought $100, you'd be more than it. You'd be fine. And then of course the airfare is above and beyond that. So wherever you fly in from, everybody's got different locations for that. And that's it. As far as the number one thing that I always encourage anybody to do, if they think about doing a missions trip or that's something that they feel, led to do or called to do, but they're worried about finances, normally that's the biggest thing. First thing is definitely write letters and send them out to people that you know and to church groups and different things like that, where you can reach out to people and ask for support, and don't ever be ashamed to ask for it. And you'll be amazed. A lot of times people will say, no, I can't do it because I can't afford it. I know Becca, one of my assistants, she has never spent $1 of her own money going to Dominican Republic. She has been able to write letters every year, and every year she not only gets enough money through donations, she gets enough that she can often almost fund another person's trip. And
wow.
And she's just dedicated to that, and she has made that such a big thing. She doesn't even worry about the money anymore. And so I always encourage people, don't let money hold you back. If that's the thing that you're worrying about, there are many, many ways you can get there without, having that as a hindrance. So,
well, I'm glad you brought that piece up too. As part of our business planning for Productive Dentist, we have set aside some scholarship funds as part of our Doing Good While Doing Good campaign. So you're right, money should not hold anybody back. There's definitely a way to get there. And I also want to point out, it's non-denominational. It's actually even non-religious if you're not that way. It's a community help, and it's non-Spanish. Tom sends me out the Oreos, and I know no Spanish, but we have the most amazing high school students who translate.
They're so awesome. And I want to jump back on that, what you said too. Okay, I've been involved in missions for years, and there's other groups I've been a part of that the prerequisite is you have to be Christian, and if you're not Christian, you're not welcome to come. And when I first met Tom in Barnabas Task, and that whole subject came up, and the very first trip we went on, there was an ER doc from Boston that was an atheist. And I thought, wow, how's this going to work? And and you know what? We got there. He was a great guy. He didn't participate in prayers and stuff like that, but perfectly fine. But he was an amazing part of our team and contributed just as much as anybody else. And we were glad to have him there. We made a friend out of him, and I haven't seen him back myself, but I'd love to see him again. But the point being, it doesn't matter where you're at, and there's nothing ever forced on you. And it's always It's always a great experience, and I think that's the best way. It's open to anybody that's willing to serve.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I know there's so many groups out there. It's all needed, right? And this one I love because it's just so well organized, and it's safe. And you're with Tom, and he's just been down there for year after year after year. And you and I are mentoring 6 Dominican dentists, right? And Dr. Almonte, and they're actually sustaining the work effort. So thanks for spending some time on that. Thanks for bringing that up, Chad.
Yeah, it's, and Dave, I was kind of curious if you just mentioned for a moment how that then translates into your community and your culture back at your office, and really just your patient interaction and stuff like that, as they see how you're being philanthropic and helping common man down there. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I don't do that trip to benefit, financially at home or.
Of course.
But what really is interesting is that patients identify, hey, I go to a dentist that does mission trips. I go to a dentist that does, and I have new patients will come in like, hey, I saw you on your internet, on your website, and the fact that you do mission trips just means a lot to me, and I chose to come to you because of that. And those kind of things happen, and there's something that's a very rewarding part of it. I think I know my patients are prideful in the fact that we do missions work as a team, and they love that. And whether we're giving back here locally, which we do different times of the year for different events, or doing that, they just love the fact that we're being part of something bigger than just, hey, we're fixing teeth all day long, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, can we go down that marketing path a little bit?
Sure.
Ooh, Jenny would love to hear this. That you're
Well,
killing
you know,
it, man.
it's really it's interesting because, you know, Chad has done this. I've done this. Chris Moriarty recently did. We get into a segment in a speaking situation, right? We're lecturing, and we'll say, how many of you really love marketing, or you're doing some type of marketing in your practice? And like, people don't raise their hands, and we're like, come on, everybody, like, you just gave us a great example of marketing. So I think they get it confused with advertising. So I want to hear from you, because you are like one of the most productive, down-to-earth, everyday guys I've ever met, ever. So give us your take on marketing and what works and doesn't work in your area, what you discover. Because I just have a passion that, dentists get hosed when it comes to advertising, because I go to marketing conferences outside of dentistry. I have learned to never tell anyone that I'm in dentistry, because they're like wolves. They're like, oh my God, dentists are so rich. I've been trying to get it. That's a target rich vertical. I want to get in there. So there's so much bad opportunity out there for dentists. Give us your kind of view on this.
Well, I mean, I absolutely have grown to love marketing. I think if we step back just a moment, marketing without a focused plan, or marketing without knowing who you are, is probably not very effective, and it has not been effective in the past. But whenever you're able to define exactly who you are and what your goals are and what you want to accomplish, then all of a sudden you can focus in like a laser beam on, all right, what is this message that we want to share about who we are and what we can do? And that's when, you know, so again, you talk about the progression and the evolution of yourself as a practice, you know, a dentist and all that. At some point, it all started gelling. I knew who I was, I knew what I wanted to do, and now I just need to get the word out. And whenever we started getting that, when that all came together, we were actually, I remember I was with Christine Oon. I can't pronounce her last name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Ewan. Yes.
And her and I, we were in San Antonio. We were down there walking on those river walks one night after one of the meetings, and this thing hit me like an epiphany. And I believe in Jesus, and I have faith, and I love the idea of hope. I mean, that's all what it's about. And you know, and it's always, you know, and throughout life, it's like, what do people put their hope in? You know, it defines so much about who they are. And obviously in our profession, there are people that have given up hope on their smiles, and given up hope on having a healthy smile. And they let themselves go down the road of getting a denture and doing whatever they do. But there are people that they're looking for new hope in their smile. They, for whatever reasons, they found, you know, they didn't get braces as a kid, and they want this healthy smile, or they had a period of time in life when they neglected. A lot of moms will say that they took care of their kids, and now they're done with them, and they're ready to fix their smiles. And you find people in life where they're ready to re-engage into their health of their mouth and their smile and their bodies as well. And that was to me, that was significant. And so we tagged into that idea of giving people new hope in their smile. And so my marketing efforts are focusing around the idea of giving people new hope. And it rings very true to me. It plays into what we do and what I like to do as a dentist. And it's been wildly successful. I'm extremely proud and very happy of it.
That's awesome. So, you know, you really speak to the congruency. You know, everybody's like authentic and being authentic. That's a huge buzzword right now. But I just listening to you, and I know everybody listening to this hears it, like, Dave Diehl's a great guy. He had great mentors. People around him notice it. He gives back. He does missions, and he's incorporated that into the marketing. Like, that is so congruent. How do you do it? I mean, tactically, do you have brochures? Do you do mailers? Do you pay-per-click? Like, how do you market hope?
Okay, so
and make that work. You know, why aren't you marketing, you know, white fillings?
Yeah.
How do you market hope?
No, it's a great question. And I think, you know, what's really funny is I know nothing about marketing. All I know is I have an idea of who I am and what I want to present to the public. Jenny Bowman, you know her, obviously. She is my marketing specialist. She takes care of everything for me. And it's through, at some point I started saying, okay, fine, Jenny, I'm going to let you do what you think is best. So number one is I put my faith and trust in Jenny, and I allowed her to do what she said would work. And all right, let's experiment with this and see where it goes. Along that way, I learned, at least in my market, mailers are not good. We don't get a good return on mailers. We have gotten patients from them. We've gotten some great patients from them. But
so you've given that a try. It's just in your micro market that doesn't work for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But what does work for us, and we've delved into, mailers, radio ads, marketing on the internet. We're doing Facebook and Google ads, and there's probably a couple other things.
Well, Jenny told me you've got something else coming up, a new form of media.
Yeah, we'll be getting into commercials here pretty soon.
Television.
Yeah, so hopefully before the end of the year, we'll have that completed. So, and then roll it out maybe in December, but for sure by January. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's exciting. So, but I've learned along the way though. So mailers are not very effective in our area. I've been told that they are very effective in other areas. The radio ads have been very effective. They started out kind of slow, and I actually had a conversation with Bruce Baird, I think on one of the mission trips. And, after the first, 9 months, maybe a year, I was like, well, we're getting a return on it, and it's paying for itself, and we're making money, but boy, it's not really doing that well. And he encouraged me to, he's like, stay the course, keep going. And so did Jenny and everybody else, and that over time, it kind of builds on itself, and that reputation begins to start beginning to be more solid in the community. But anyway, completely true. So there was definitely a 9-month period of time where I kind of kept plugging away at it, not losing money, but just not doing as well as you'd think you'd like to do. But here again, last year, it's just been phenomenal. And then when you piggyback on that, the Google ads and the Facebook ads and the different things in the SEO and SEM, all those things then to begin to build on themselves. Now you have a patient that hears, or a person that hears a radio ad, and they're inspired by it. They go on Google and they take a look at it, and they do a search and they read our reviews, and then they look at our website. And it just builds on itself, and people call in and come in, and they're already sold on the practice. They're already sold on what we're doing. And there's really not, the neatest part about it all to me, it goes back to the New Hope thing, is that people are searching for what we're offering. And so all we're doing is pointing them to us. And so when they come in, they want the work. Now, what we got to do is make the finances work out. Then we have a project. We move forward. Whereas in the past, you'd have a random person walk in the door, and you look at him and you think, "Hey, you need braces." Well, the guy's like, "Well, I don't know."
No, what an insult! I think not.
Yeah, or whatever. You can use veneers. Well, I don't want them.
Exactly.
And Patty, your question was about why would you market New Hope versus a filling, or whatever, or veneers.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me about the tagline or the idea about New Hope, we don't talk about any specific treatment. All we're doing is talking about getting a person a healthy smile. And what's fascinating to me is that draws in people of all kinds of need. There are people that walk in, they don't have any teeth, they want teeth. We're getting them dentures, or we're doing implants. There are people that are walking in, they have great teeth, but they're a little crooked and they want braces. Well, guess what? We can do that too. There are people that walk in, they have nice teeth, but they need veneers, or they, or whatever. So we're drawing in a really wide diversity of people that all have great need, and they're all wanting things fixed. And so anyway, it's a lot more effective than saying, "Hey, I can do whitening for $3.99."
Mm-hmm.
I love the way you explain that, because people ask me all the time, why did you start PDA Marketing Group? How is PDA Marketing Group differ than, name XYZ, that advertise, that are out there doing marketing for dentists? And then the third question we get is, how come we don't ever see you advertising for your advertising company? So it's really kind of this thing, right? And so what we really love doing is helping to attract clients based on emotion. And in your case, it's hope. We have one doctor that markets no judgment. And we actually run towards that. Have you ever been to a dentist and felt put down, or you were embarrassed by your own internal dialogue? You're so hypercritical. You'll get no criticism from us. From the minute you call, our team is here to serve you, to help you. It doesn't matter how awful you think your smile or your mouth is. You'll never get any judgment or criticism from us. So you can market those things, but you can't do it if what you want to do is, come one, come all, $99 black and white cartoon specials.
Yep.
And that's great marketing. It's just a different market segment.
Absolutely.
Right. So, oh my gosh, Chad, I don't know about you. And we literally do. I could talk to Dave Diehl for hours. And we do.
Sometimes we do.
When we're at Blue Sky or whenever. Yeah. But do you have any, I know we're getting close to time here. Do you have any wrap-up questions or thoughts?
I myself don't. I'm just, always grateful for a moment, whether we're texting or Facebook messaging or whatever, to be able to, have our conversations. Dave, I'm not going to say you're the real deal. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, you did. No, because I'm going to say
Oh
it's a
my
big deal.
gosh. You guys are killing me.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've never heard that before.
No.
Hey,
Well,
I said
Dave
it's a big
Diehl
deal
from
coffee
DuPont
mug.
Family Dentistry, thanks for coming on.
You gotta-
I'm sure we'll have an
gotta
after
ask
party
him the
wrap up
question.
on the podcast when as soon as we hit end. But thanks for coming on, buddy.
Absolutely.
And we just have one question that we ask all of our guests. Before we go, we have one critical question, and you must choose one or the other.
Okay.
Chad?
Bacon or eggs?
That's a slam dunk for me. Eggs.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah,
That-
bacon is
we never
by far the
explained.
popular choice, but eggs have been on a comeback.
Now, if
And we
you
never
said-
explain why we asked that question. We just ask. We have to
You
ask.
just ask. It's just a question. That's all.
Now I get to go to sleep wondering, did I give the right answer? I hope I did.
For an Indiana Hoosier, I suppose it's good enough.
Could have said corn. Gosh, I would have said corn.
Well, again, thanks, buddy.
That's-
Hey, no, thanks for
Thanks
having
for-
me. I hope it was beneficial. Thanks. Love both of you guys, and can't wait to see you next time.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.